Am I the a-hole for refusing to get tested to see if I'm a kidney match for my sister? Plus update. Original post. My 32 female older sister, Clara, 35 female, has been diagnosed with a severe kidney disease. Her doctors have said that without a transplant in the near future, she will face a lifetime of grueling dialysis and a significantly shortened life expectancy. Our entire family is understandably devastated. I have a complicated relationship with Clara. We weren't close growing up, and as adults, we've mostly been civil at family events, but don't have a personal relationship. The main reason for this distance is a pattern of behavior from her that I can only describe as chronically selfish and manipulative. She borrowed a large sum of money from me years ago for a can't-miss business opportunity that failed, and she never paid me back, joking that it was my contribution to her education in the School of Hard Knocks. She also missed my wedding for a last-minute vacation with her then-boyfriend and has a history of making snide, undermining comments about my career and life choices. When her diagnosis was announced, the family immediately launched a campaign to find a donor. Flyers were made, social media blasts went out, and everyone was talking about how we all needed to step up. My mother, weeping, said, "One of us in the family must be a match. We have to save her." A few weeks ago, in a family group chat, the topic of living donors came up. My cousin volunteered to get tested. My mom said she would, but her age might be a factor. Then, my aunt tagged me directly and wrote, "And of course, OP, you'll get tested too. Sisters are the most likely matches." I didn't respond in the chat. Later that night, I called my parents privately. I told them, as gently as I could, that I would not be getting tested. I explained that while I sympathize with Clara's situation, I am not willing to donate my kidney. My mom was hysterical. She called me a monster, cold-hearted, and said I was essentially signing my sister's death warrant. My dad, usually calm, said he was profoundly disappointed and that families should do anything for each other. They asked me why, and my reasons didn't seem to land. The risk. While generally safe, kidney donation is still major surgery with real risks, including chronic pain, hypertension, and future health complications. I'm healthy, and the idea of voluntarily undergoing a procedure that could compromise my long-term health terrifies me. The history. I flat out told them I don't love my sister in the way that would make me sacrifice an organ for her. Given our history, I feel no deep, selfless bond. I feel like she's a relative I know, not someone I'd give a part of my body to. My own family. I'm married, and my husband and I are trying to start our own family. The thought of going through a pregnancy with one kidney or having a health issue later in life that could be exacerbated by having only one kidney fills me with anxiety. My future, and the future of my potential children, feels more immediate and important to me than mending a relationship that was never there. The news spread through the family. I'm now being bombarded with messages. Some call me a jerk, others say selfish bee. My cousin who volunteered said I'm making this about me, when it's about Clara's life. Even some family friends have reached out to guilt-trip me. The only person who hasn't said anything is Clara. I don't know if she's too sick, too proud, or if she expected this from me. A part of me is racked with guilt. A woman's life is on the line, and I'm refusing to even take the test to see if I can help. I'm being told that my reasons are just excuses, and that my grudges are petty compared to the gravity of the situation. I'm watching my family fall apart, and I'm being painted as the villain for sticking to my decision. So, Reddit, am I the jerk for refusing to get tested to see if I'm a kidney match for my sister? Now for the top comments before reading the update. If you're planning to have children, donating your kidney isn't something I'd personally recommend. It puts you at a much higher risk for complications. While I sympathize with your sister, your family is wrong for calling you names and making you the enemy here. You can reach out to your sister if you want to and explain why you can't go through testing or organ donation. I would go no contact for now with the rest of your family though. Putting this out there for others who read this. One can go through the process of getting tested and ask the doctors to tell the family that they are not a match, even if they are. I don't necessarily endorse lying, but I've seen enough family complications on Reddit to last a lifetime. And honestly, everyone deserves the autonomy of their choices, even if that means going through a circuitous route. Privacy is also important. So just FYI, for OP, though it sounds too late for her, or anyone who is being pressured and doesn't want to donate for any reason, always valid since it's a choice. Doctors can and do say that they're not a match. Fact check me if I'm wrong. It's not too late though. All OP has to do is get fed up in the group chat, grudgingly say, "Fine, I'll get tested. Matches are tough. And if I don't match, will you cut me some slack? At least I tried." Then tell the doctor she's being pressured into testing by family. She doesn't want to donate, but she doesn't want to let her family down. That's it. Doc tells the family there is no match. I want to mention the kidney exchange, but I don't want OP to mention it because her family, instead of asking the willing cousin, would probably force OP to exchange her kidney to prove her place in the family. Organ donation is magical when it's done right and for the right reasons. OP's family is turning a deeply personal choice into a demand and obligation. Shame on them. I am a person with kidney disease, 15 years on dialysis, not the a-hole. I am the eldest sibling. I refused to let my siblings get tested, as I believed they deserved a family and felt the risks to them were too high. They did get pushback from some people. However, I reassured them it was the right decision for us all. I have never regretted my decision. You need to be sure and firm in your decision, as well as be prepared to lose some people from your life. Know going forward that a transplant is just another treatment and not a cure. Even with a transplant, her life will never be the same. I wish you well moving forward. It sounds like you have made a mostly educated decision, not one based fully on emotion. Now for the update 2 days later. I've been sitting with everything that's happened over the past few days, and I can't stop thinking about it. After my last conversation with my parents, the one where my mom called me a monster, I thought I was done. I told myself I had nothing to feel guilty about. But that night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I kept picturing Clara in a hospital bed, hooked up to machines, just waiting. Not as my manipulative sister, but as a scared woman facing something that could kill her. I kept thinking, what if I don't even try to find out? What if I could help, and I just never knew because I refused to take one test? So, 2 days ago, I called the hospital handling her transplant program. I asked what it would actually take to get tested as a potential donor. The coordinator was surprisingly kind. She didn't pressure me or make me feel guilty. She explained it would just be a blood test and some preliminary health checks to determine compatibility. No commitment, no strings attached. Yesterday morning I went in. My hands were shaking the entire time I filled out the forms. The nurse must have noticed because she said softly, "You're brave for even showing up." I wanted to correct her. I didn't feel brave. I felt terrified and conflicted, and ashamed that it took this long. The blood draw itself was quick. I expected to feel instant clarity afterward, but instead I felt hollow, like I just crossed a line I couldn't uncross. When I got home, I didn't tell anyone, not my parents, not even my husband at first. I just sat in the car in the driveway for a long time, staring at the test bandage on my arm. Then I finally went inside and told him what I'd done. He was quiet for a minute, then said, "As long as you're doing it for you, not because they bullied you, I support you." He's right. I don't even know why I did it exactly. Maybe part of me just wanted peace. Maybe I needed to know either way, that I didn't let resentment make the decision for me. The results will take a few days. I'm not sure what I'm hoping for. If I'm not a match, at least I'll know I tried. If I am, then I guess I'll have to decide what kind of sister I really want to be. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my sister-in-law what she's doing with her degree after she implied my university wasn't prestigious enough? Plus update. Last night, my husband, our 2-year-old daughter, and I were at my in-laws. My sister-in-law and her husband and kids were there too. The topic of one of their cousin's kids going to university came up. We talked about how going to a good university helps in networking. I mentioned how I had gotten my first business analyst job because my interviewer had also gone to University of Toronto. At this point, my sister-in-law chimed in with, "U of T Mississauga, right? So not the actual one?" My husband said politely that it's the same thing, and she just shrugged. I asked her where she went. She said she went to U of T and added St. George campus. I then asked how she's using her degree. I knew she's a stay-at-home mom, so that's why I'm here. That might have been an a-hole thing to say. She said she chose to be a stay-at-home mom and kind of stopped talking to me. My husband thinks I was out of line. Admittedly, I didn't think it through when I said it. I just said what came to my mind. He says her question was tactless but not malicious. I said it was rude and that's what mattered. And the premise of it was just wrong. But I have been reconsidering it. She has texted him about how out of line I was. He's told her it was a misunderstanding between everyone and to let it go. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. She had something to say about the campus you went to and was 100% being rude because she felt like hers was better. And your question was valid. What is she doing with her degree? She sounds like one of those people who like to talk about everyone but can't stand it when someone gives it back. Big mouth and a thin skin is a bad combination. Very common combo in some professions. I wonder what her major was. Not the a-hole. I will always hate people who can dish it out but not take it. She wanted to put you down and couldn't deal with a clapback. In my opinion, the rude one is the person who started it. Sure, we could all be perfect adults and be above it all, but that's just going to reinforce the rude behavior. Your husband is like those teachers that will turn a blind eye until the bullied kid fights back. Being the bigger person has never benefited anybody ever. It's like expecting calm down to get somebody to calm down. Now for the update. I was heartened by all the not the a-hole votes. I read a lot of the comments and really appreciated those saying I wasn't the instigator, so I was in the clear. As I read more comments and the way my sister-in-law was being mentioned, it made me feel bad. I don't blame the comments. They were only going by the context I had provided. But I took the fact that my sister-in-law being criticized heavily was making me uneasy as a cue to mend the relationship. She isn't a bad person. She and I aren't BFFs, but have always been cordial to each other. The not the a-hole verdict had given me the peace of mind that my reply wasn't totally uncalled for. So I asked my husband if she was still messaging him. He said she'd just sent a final wall of text about how hurt she was and then gone quiet. I asked him what he thought. He said he'd told her that her remark was thoughtless, but told me that there are levels to this, and my reply really cut her. I told him I was willing to apologize if she did too. Last night I got a call from her. She said that she had realized her comment about UTM had come across as insulting, and that it was not her intention. She said she was really proud of me and my career, and the way I juggled it with being a mother and apologized for her remark. I thanked her and said my comment about her degree was out of line, that she's an awesome mother, and that my remark had zero thought behind it. It was just me saying whatever I could in the moment. She broke down a bit, and that honestly made me feel terrible. I teared up too, and we just agreed to put this behind us. Like I mentioned in my original post, my reply was instinctive. I don't think she's wasting her degree, and I hope her comment had equally little thought behind it. But I'm glad I patched it up with her. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling my ex-roommate when cops came looking for her? So I, 28 female, had a roommate from September to October, just someone needing a stepping stone until they got a place of their own. Found out we were both on probation, but nothing really came of it. We both met with our probation officers, kept court appointments, it was all fine and dandy. She moved out after getting a place, and today a cop came to the door. I went through the safety measures of asking him to identify himself and show a badge. All the safety measures people tell you to go through when you're a female living home alone. I stepped outside and asked him basically, "What's up?" He asked if my ex-roommate was home. I explained she moved out, and he asked if the address he had was her new address, and I confirmed the new address. Then he asked if 555-555-5555 was her number, and I said yeah. He asked me to call her, and I said sure, not thinking much of it. I called her, and as soon as she heard his voice when he did the gimme motion for my phone, I did not hand him my phone, just put it on speaker. She hung up, then texted me saying, "How dare you betray me and not just lie to the cops that you had no clue where I was? You should have said I was out of state, or lied and said I was there but in the shower, or literally anything to avoid me talking to them." I told her that I wasn't going to lie to the cops, and saying she was in the shower would just make him either one, sit outside until she came out, or two, since she's on probation same as me, he could potentially come in for a wellness check on her if she's not out of the shower after a period of time. And telling them she's out of state when you need PO permission to leave the state is also a horrible idea, because then a warrant for her arrest would be put out, and if they find and arrest her, I could get in trouble for lying to them. She snapped back with, "Did they threaten to throw you in jail if you didn't call me? You're a lying a-hole. I don't want to talk to you anymore, and anything I have there, I'll figure out how to get out of there because I can't trust you anymore." All she left here was a diamond art painting and a library book. My friend says I did the right thing, because even if she wasn't on probation, she would have done the same thing and called her, saying the cops were looking for her. My friend's wife says I could have just not answered the door, or just declined to say I knew her or her phone number. But I mean, he could see me from the living room window cooking in the kitchen. It's a ground floor open plan apartment. The living room is in a direct line of sight to the kitchen from the window, so I could see my fridge and stove from outside when I walked to my door, same as the cop could see. I feel like I did the right thing, but I ain't too sure. Just figured I'd get outside opinions, because now her friends are texting me, saying I really pissed her off, and friends don't rat friends out to the cops. Edit. They did go to her apartment yesterday looking for her, and she didn't answer the door. She told me she wasn't going to answer the door for the cops because she didn't want them to kill her. When I told her about tonight, that it was legit just a pack of papers in his hand, she said, "Well, they won't meet me in public, and I ain't letting them talk to me at my place. I'll leave the state if I gotta." I told her that was a horrible idea because then she'd get a warrant, and I'd probably get in even more trouble because I knew of her intent to flee the state. But she read my message, said, "Blocked," and now I can't message or call her again. So I don't know what to do if they come back looking for her. Not the a-hole, and it's not even close. You don't lie to cops when you're on probation. She was asking you to risk your own freedom because she couldn't face the consequences of her own actions. You did the only smart thing. Not the a-hole. She was a roommate for 1 month. She didn't ask you not to tell the truth, so why would it have occurred to you to lie? And it's crazy of her to suggest that you jeopardize your standing for her. You did what was best for you and in line with the law. You don't owe her a risky lie, especially when you had no clue that she didn't want the cops to know her whereabouts. Screw her friends, who could very well be enabling her to make choices that are going to land her right back in prison. These are also the same friends she told me she's suing because they stole over $800 of her stuff when she lived with them. So now I'm kinda inclined to believe she was lying about that too, to try and get sympathy out of me. I mean, when she lived here, she was an awesome roommate. Cooked, cleaned, even paid rent in full, even though I only asked her for like $200 because she was on disability from a back surgery. I just don't know why she flipped a switch and is wigging out over this. It's legit just a packet of paper they want to give her. It might even be something to do with her probation. Heck, for all I know, it could be that she's going from supervised to unsupervised or something, but she's refusing to meet with them or anything.